Thank you, Satya sir, for giving the new vision or the new targets, and probably the government will listen and sometime will revise with the advent of the blockchain. Now, I will invite the panelists. First is the Vikas Singh. Mr. Vikas Singh is currently a CEO of the Believe.Club. He has 10 years of the industry experience, and out of that, more than 50% he is in the blockchain. He had been the first trainer on the Eureka platform for the blockchain technology. So let us welcome him. He has worked pro bono with the United Nations for the land registry. In the yeah. He has been an international hackathon award winner in the Atlanta. He started his entrepreneurial journey in 2018, in the name of Block Labs, and now he has started the Blip Club, so he's a serial entrepreneur. Now he's working on the NFT derivative platform with his two co-founders, Abhishek and Siraj. So let's welcome him. Thank you. Thank you, Vikas. Next is Venu Borra. Mr. Venu Borra is entrepreneur and blockchain architect and has been involved in multiple blockchain implementations. He comes with more than 6 years of the experience. He also delivers solutions by combining blockchain, artificial intelligence, IoT. He is passionate about the zero knowledge, decentralized identity through the SSI. He delivered the project in fintech, supply chain, entertainment, agritech. Being a board member of the Blockchain for the Productive Forum, he works toward empowering the organization to adopt these innovative technologies. He is the one from whom I started learning the blockchain about 3 years ago. So he was having an office in Hyderabad, so I went to his company and I was sitting in company for a few days and then working with him. Thank you, Venu. Next is Shikher Verma. Mr. Shikher Verma is the CTO at Dastafilez. Dastafilez is a virtual data room focused on providing a secure channel of communication and data sharing for merger and acquisition teams. Earlier, he worked as a cybersecurity consultant, helping startup identity and the fix security threats. Next, we have Kamlesh Nagaware. Kamlesh was in another panel, but since he has got a flight, so he made a request, and we have, Kamlesh. He's a TEDx speaker. He's a CTO of the blockchain at Snapper Future Tech. Kamlesh, can I request today that some sort of glimpse of your TEDx talk? Okay, come on first. So, CTO blockchain at the Snapper Future Tech. He has 12 years of experience in the software development, IT consulting, and blockchain solutions. He's among the top 30 influencers of the blockchain in India. He's a Hyperledger India co-chair and a member of the Hyperledger Technical Steering Committee. Drives technical directions of the Hyperledger Foundation. He plays an active role across the Hyperledger community, contributing to the climate action and the accounting SIG. He is also co-chair of the IEEE blockchain initiative at the IEEE global level. In addition to that, I will be one of the panelists, if you permit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shiv, for doing this great job. As you could have made out since morning, whatever we are seeing today, it is the creation of Dr. Shiv actually. He has worked very hard for last 3 months on this, and himself all these speakers, experts are courtesy him. He himself will be helping us. But as Dr. Shiv, you mentioned, shall we start with our friend Kamlesh, what you mentioned, and a style of TED talk, just to get, because even I have never heard a TED talk. So I like to listen from your TED talk, but you have to clarify the related to the topic of blockchain.
Can you come to the stage, because
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
heard
yeah. Because it is a very famous thing. I know a lot of things about TED talk, but I have never seen a TED talk. So maybe all of you will be benefited, and it will also have content, of course, because he is the actual doer.
All right. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah,
close.
I was invited by TEDx, I think this year, to talk about the blockchain and not the crypto. So the topic was like cutting through the noise of the crypto and blockchain. So I started with the crypto investment, what it is, and blockchain is just not the crypto, is more than that. So like what Dr. Shiv and Dr. Satya Gupta addressing in the event today. So I started with the crypto and the history of blockchain, like Bitcoin, then Ethereum, and then Hyperledger, and then other enterprise blockchains. And then how the technology is maturing in India and globally, like different countries having their national blockchain strategy, the NFT, Metaverse, DAO, and various state government national blockchain strategy watch released like last year about that one, and some industry use case where it clarified like blockchain is just not the crypto, is more than that. And that Metaverse use cases like NPCI working on a blockchain, like MIT, like CBSE issuing a degree on blockchain, like IIT Kanpur, and what we were doing with the different companies globally, like working with USA for the some kind of DAO platform on decentralizing the ownership, for example. We are working with Karnataka government for some kind of vendor portal and some kind of land registry kind of thing. We working with some kind of in a sustainability aspect with one of the customer in Europe. So I included all those things and what is happening globally and how the technology could transform the world, and just all this aspect I covered in that talk, and is available on the YouTube. You can have a look. Yeah, thank you.
Can you tell the style? TEDx, it has a different style.
No, I think it's the same style. I think they do lots of editing actually, and then it's the same thing. Like how I'm speaking here, the same thing, but they do lots of editing before publishing. I think even they taken around 2 months to publish on the TEDx YouTube.
So it is all doctored and
Yeah, so like what? So because I talked more about my company, what I am doing, but they cut it and only keep the only 2-3 points, and then there's a fix that it's only 16 minutes to cover all the things. So they cut all the things and just take those things. And I think they do lots of before due diligence, like what is not impacting any sentiment of the people or any some kind of issue with any government or some kind of thing. And then they publish before lots of review. Censoring part also need to be checked.
No problem. Yeah, but you can also address some because you are already there.
Yeah.
Kamlesh, actually, can you tell that what work you are doing, what value you are creating, and how you are doing it, what challenges you are facing from the government side, funding side, all that. I mean, your practical experience because you are already there doing something.
Yeah, right. So I think funding side, even I'm also part of the STPI APIRI Center of Excellence as a mentor. I work with Alok Rai, and he's sitting behind. So I think what I seen the difference in the last 3 to 4 years, especially when the APIRI and other government initiative is started to promote the startups, and this APIRI Center of Excellence is started, and I think every year they incubate around 25 plus startup to promote the startup ecosystem in India. So I think there's a good amount of focus by government or industry to promote the blockchain startup. So that is good. So what is challenges about the adoption of technology? One is about the education and the awareness. So it's still like people think like crypto is the only blockchain and people keep away from the technology. This thing. Another thing, while you propose some solution to the government or whether any use case, So lots of challenges about the ROI. What we are implementing, what is going to be the benefit, and that is the main concern. And still there are lots of challenges to address and explain how it will solve the particular problem and how it is going to benefit to the whether consumer or businesses. And so these are main challenges. And what we are doing, so we are working with some state governments in India, working with some other financial company in India, but can't disclose the name because of some NDA. And we are working with some US customer for building some DAO platform where you could do everything as a decentralized governance kind of thing. And then working with some NFT platform, working with even working with Malaysian government for land registry, for the digitizing the land registry of Malaysian government. Working with renewable energy and sustainability aspect for the one European customer, and lots of these things. And actually I mainly present the Hyperledger, which is an enterprise ecosystem. So there we are doing lots of technological improvement like interoperability thing, how to bring the technology to the very easy so people can easily implement, because it's hard to understand and learn and implement the blockchain. So all these things we are doing as a company, or I am individually doing it.
Okay, and can you also tell what problem you are trying to solve with your company or with your solution?
Okay, so at my company we actually doing 2-3 things. One is about we have 2 products. One is a digital credential. For that we incubated at the STPI. Other thing, we have some supply chain traceability product for food traceability, or it could be like recycle industry. You can do the plastic recycle traceability. These are 2 products. And then we are doing some kind of custom solution and services development for the customer, whether like Karnataka government or some other Malaysian government, for example. And then we also do some kind of education and awareness perspective. We are doing some kind of blockchain training. So interacting with the university and interacting with the different companies to build the capacity development of the blockchain practice.
Oh, STPI is one of our sponsor also. I think some of their colleagues are there.
Yeah.
So what benefit or what are the tangible benefit STPI offers to a new startup who wants to do some work in blockchain actually, and what initial qualification or what they need?
Yeah.
Someone want to set up a blockchain startup in STPI. What STPI brings to the table and what he should have as a pre-qualification?
Yeah, okay. So STPI next actually started some blockchain initiative, kind of IPv6, the Center of Excellence in STPI Gurgaon. And they are, every year they take some different problem. Like this year there's some kind of agriculture marketplace. If you're building something on the agriculture marketplace using a blockchain, then you could submit your nomination. I think 31st August is the last date to submit the application. And even you don't need to have a registered company. You could submit the idea, and there is some evaluation process, how you're doing it. Then even you can register the company after 8 weeks of your selection at the IPv6. So this is how you can apply. And so anyone can apply who building something. And then there are STPI provides some kind of mentoring, some kind of funding. So they are kind of Up Venture is one of their funding partner at the STPI Gurgaon and IPv6. So they help you to nurture your idea, build your idea, and then provide some kind of mentorship plus funding up to 1 crore. And also provide some kind of support to build your ecosystem, government connects, industry connect, and how you can use to raise a fund. And they will provide end-to-end support, whether like suppose they will provide a platform like Digital India program, platform by MIT, and lots of this thing is to create the digital ecosystem in India and like achieving the digital economy of like $5 trillion economy target.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah,
Kamlesh.
thank you.
I think thanks a lot, you have really brought. Now let me go to our other expert, Mr.Vikas Singh, co-founder of Believe.club. So maybe Vikas, you can also tell what we knew from Kamlesh about your project or your company. Ultimately, what problem you are trying to solve, what are the challenges you are facing and what are your asks from government actually?
Sure, sir. First of all, good morning, everyone, and thanks for coming by. And thank you, Satya sir and Shiv sir, for managing this one. Everyone, I'm Vikas Singh. I'm the co-founder of Believe.Club. It's my second startup. My experience from this technology comes from 2016 onwards. February 2016 is the first time when I heard about blockchain. I was introduced to it by one amazing guy from IIM Lucknow, and he introduced to me. And when he introduced it to me, he mentioned like you can save a lot of money by cutting a lot of intermediary problems or intermediary processes in the credit card department. So essentially, he was making a case for United States, and he was mentioning that you can secure or you can save at least close to $4 to $5 billion annually. That just caught my attention because that was a lot of money to actually secure or save in the business. That's how I got exposed, and then blockchain as a technology was introduced to me instead of the crypto part of it. I was first introduced to Ethereum, and then I went on to do my research. I completely submerged myself into the blockchain technology for that whole year. I was like, every day I was like reading and studying. For the whole year I studied, and I was like looking for people who can understand it. Sadly, it was very few people back in 2016. I was making call. I come from IIT Durgapur, and I was like making calls from all of my friends who are there in Microsoft, Google, placed in Amazon offshore. And I was like just talking to them and figuring out like, is there any people like whom I can actually bounce the ideas like which I know now, or which I now like can comprehend like the blockchain technology. Because the very first use case that I built after understanding it was like land registry, because India sadly has like almost majority of the cases in the judicial system is just regarding the disputes of land. So the thing which I really wanted to solve initially was this. But after that, I got into a startup which was in healthcare in Hyderabad, and I worked there for 16 months. And those 16 months were very, very beneficial because I was able to do consulting, I was able to do freelancing. I was fortunate enough to become the India's first trainer on blockchain technology for Edureka platform. I helped them structure their content and then delivered few full-fledged courses. It helped me because at that time I was desperately needed few people to actually bounce the ideas, right? And the curiosity of the attendees were also helping me to shape up my thought process back then, because it was still early. And I still feel the kind of discussion I am in today, like I'm here listening very attentively everything what Dr. Satya is saying, Mr. George Kuruvilla was saying, and everyone, Aftab sir, and all these people. I still feel that the vocabulary is still not matured, at least here. And but yeah, I think given due time, I think we will all mature to it. And India has the characteristic of leapfrogging when it comes to like when we take anything challenging, we actually end up taking it over. So 2018 was the year when I actually started my own company. That was first company, Block Labs. Block Labs was initially started to solve the because back in 2017 nobody was thinking about like building products on top of blockchain, because it was very hard to even comprehend what blockchain is. And I was getting introduced to all the CXOs, CEOs, CTOs to actually take their business decision whether or not should they actually even think about blockchain or even try to inculcate blockchain into their core business. And that was very fascinating for me, because I can simply see the distance, like the person who is like 10-20 years experience still flabbergasted about this technology, and I somehow know a little bit of it. I think that was the right time to take a leapfrog from this 9 to 5 to actually start my own. And that was the simple signal that I got from the ecosystem, and immediately I jumped and I started my own firm, Block Labs. Back in 2018, it was started to build products. The very first product that we built was documents on blockchain. Back in 2018, we were pushing it hard, really, really hard. We exhibited the company in Bangalore Tech Summit. I think India's like Web3 for like Web3, or I should say like Global Web Summit kind of thing, which happens in Lisbon, but I think it's for India, which happens in Bangalore Tech Summit. And we presented the tech there. People were very excited, but nothing turned out to be like fruitfully converted, because still there was this contention, apprehension that no, I think still we are not there yet. But we presented to CBSE as well, because back in 2019, 18, 19, they were still, we tried giving them the solution what we are talking today. So all this journey has been very enriching. We built multiple products like documents on blockchain related to some identity part. Also, we tried. We built this tracking solution, like from source to destination provenance solution back in for a client, for Daimler. It's a BMW's parent company. So all these use cases which you can think, we initially started. And even in the public chain, we did a lot of let's say whatever we said today, like a Uniswap solution. We did unknowingly, we did it back then, but we didn't knew that Uniswap, which did for $1 trillion value of exchange in just last 4 years, we didn't knew that these use cases will become this big. So now I am moved on to my second startup called Believe.Club, in which I am building a NFT derivative platform. Earlier, I used to build for the B2C, and I used to include government, India as the core of my business, because I consider that there are a lot of threads to solve, at least in India. If you can solve one good thread in India, you can make a very profitable business. But now we are moving to global audience, and we are building something into NFT derivatives. We think that NFT as a new asset class will establish itself after crypto. And after that, once it established, it will require some exotic markets like future options and on top of it. So we are building for that right now. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you, Vikas. Good experience. And as you mentioned, I am Lucknow. I'm a professor there invited, and luckily we have Professor Arunuba, who is the Dean of IIM Lucknow actually.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks.
Maybe afternoons you will listen from him also. So thanks a lot. So now let me invite my colleague, board member Venu. Venu is a technology evangelist, and in our board he is the only person who knows technology actually. So Venu, you will have to tell now about the technology part, interoperability, and these convergence what I was talking vaguely. So you have to really tell how it will happen or happening, and what are the issues.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you again. First of all, let me thank Singh sir and Shiv sir for organizing such a beautiful event, and thank you for this opportunity. Now, I'll probably step back a little and tell you about what exactly is blockchain. So, because it's hanging in the air now, few people know it, few people don't know it, what is it used for and all that. But let me start with my experience. So I've got overall 17 years of experience into IT and 6 years into blockchain alone. So I started my own company in 2018 with vision of building something on blockchain AI and IoT. I did deliver a couple of solutions for India too, which I will talk about it, where you will understand the real beauty of having these three together. Now, let's understand what's blockchain all about. Okay, I'm not going to go into technical, but why someone should actually use blockchain, right? So blockchain offers one key element, which is need of the hour. What exactly is that? That's one word. That's nothing but proof. Proof for any event, any activity, be it a process, be it a supply chain event, or be it a plain old fintech transaction. Now, how does blockchain achieve it? Now, there are a few components of it, which we will talk about it, but the real beauty comes out when you see two elements that are clearly the key elements of blockchain: trust and traceability. These are the two elements where blockchain will shine. And people who are looking at these aspects, trust and traceability, with any process, you should be using blockchain. Now, here is one other thing that you should notice. that people out here, eminent speakers and even the speakers earlier have discussed many use cases. You know why? Because it is agnostic. You can actually use it everywhere. Because there is no, I personally believe that there is no process in the entire world that doesn't require proof. So that's how blockchain is agnostic. You can add it in any process. Now, what does it mean to something like AI and IoT? Now, most of you would know that AI is, the so-called machine learning, the big jargons, TensorFlows and all that, but it boils down to predicting or the kind of building some engines on top which give some knowledge out of it. But if you notice, fundamentally these are probabilistic. That means something happens, you feed it data to it, and it comes out with some knowledge, some information which you might or might not use it. So it is totally, it's called black box. That is the big factor that is worry, I would say, to a lot of people. People don't even know what AI is capable of really, because you feed data, you kind of say that I'm thinking of creating a magical universe, it can add value. You think of pushing data, your personal PI, we call it, personal information to it. It probably will create personas of it, how these big companies like Facebook, Google are trying to do. How they do it, they feed the data to it, then create personas of it and feed you with what you need. So this is a black box approach where you don't know what happens inside. It's in and out, you don't know what happens. So governments are worried about what exactly is happening. So that's why you have guidelines called RAI, Responsible AI Guidelines, and GDPR guidelines. If you know, those are popular terms about regulation and compliance. Now, blockchain can make a big difference out here. How? Blockchain can be a reliable infrastructure. The reason why it can do that is because blockchain essentially is deterministic. So you have to feed in a data which is agreed by people. So I'll come to the point why you call it as deterministic. So that's the key reason why blockchain can be an underlying infrastructure for all AI. Now, you might ask me, how can IoT come into existence? Now, if you know, a lot of people would define IoT as these connected devices. There are like millions and millions of devices out there, but these keep sending or emitting data continuously. So there is no hard stop or some data. Now, if you have a blockchain-enabled system in it, you would basically able to measure which device is actually working, which is a possible good sensor, or you can basically validate. That's a use case for you. Now, how do you combine this? How do you create use cases out of this? Now, I'll talk about a couple of use cases, which probably I'll not be able to name them because I've been involved in hedge funds and then some auditability use cases in fintech, and which I can't name. So, but I'll probably define the use cases for you. Now, first use case is a classic use case of adding AI, IoT, and blockchain for a very basic use case. It's called, it's animal tracking system. It's a marketplace. So what happens is and fortunately this use case is live in India right now, where you have animals that are basically sold, bought in a local sandy normally, which is predominantly managed and kind of manipulated by I don't know if I can use manipulated by this so-called high-profile people and then middlemen, so-called. Now this is very challenging for farmers who actually invest a lot of time in breeding them, and then you end up at the mercy of these so-called middlemen to give a price. Let's say, for example, if certain sheep or a goat costs around 10,000 in general, these middlemen obviously wants to make profit. He will probably sell it for 3,000 or 4,000, saying, I will take it. Either you sell it or not sell it. They eventually farmers do take a decision of selling it because Our system or marketplaces are local Sundays. This happen every fortnight, 15 days or so. So what we basically did is we brought this marketplace into an application that basically records all the information about that particular animal, which is basically recording from birth to breeding, vaccinations and all that, because most of the people don't know that these are supposed to be protected, vaccinated by the law of the land. That's when the real value comes out. And that part of recording these events are done through blockchain. And how do you identify these animals? You identify through IoT devices. RFID, that goes, these are small tablet kind of RFIDs. We can always discuss if you want to know more. So those are put into the animal to create their identification, a number for them, to tag them. And now, what is the role of an AI? So AI takes in a data about the market, how the market is reacting to a certain characteristic of that particular animal. Let's say, for example, the animal weighs 20 kilos and the value of it must be around 10,000. How do you know that? You feed in the data of the last prices of these to that particular commodity or animal, and here the farmer knows that this particular healthy vaccinated animal would go for 20,000 or 10,000, but middleman cannot ask me to buy less than that. So he is informed. At the same time, the middleman or the seller who is actually trying to acquire these animals will also know that it's well vaccinated and it should be a quality product that I can sell. He is a market for that. So now you see, the beauty is when I combine all of these, you get a value chain eventually. So that value chain helps build use cases like that. So for example, this is one use case. Another use case is auditability in AI. AI throws in a lot of probabilistic data that is shaped into different forms, so like knowledge graph and or say typical dashboards and all that. But you will know that you have to also understand how reliable is this data. So for AI, reliability is bought through blockchain. And one last thing that I would like to add is what's the role of IPv6 here? Most of you know that we are currently in an IPv4 to v6 era of transition. That is inevitable. Why? Because all the addresses that we have, around 4.3 billion addresses, correct me sir, yes. if I'm not wrong, 4.3 billion, and we are using NAT on that. So basically 2 to the power of 32. So 32-bit, I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit on the technical side. So a 32-bit address, so these are limited. So eventually, because of the evolution of IoT devices, there are not enough devices that you can support, because IP is something which you need for addressing each device. How will you communicate? The whole point of internet was having IP address and then TCP. That blew everything from Web 1 to Web 2. Now, we need a V6 because now V6 offers two things. One is end-to-end connectivity. You can actually literally identify which device you're connecting to, and you don't really need intermediary devices, or you don't need DHCP and all that. And the second thing is, now this is a 128-bit address. So basically you have trillions of addresses. It's almost like 300 trillion if I'm not wrong. That's the kind of addresses you can generate. That's good for generations altogether. So for this, there is one problem blockchain will resolve, and that is important. What is that? That's address management. When you have 300 or 3,000 trillion addresses, how will you manage these addresses? Let's say, for example, I connected to a particular device. Well, let's say a mic, smart mic. Now, tomorrow, for whatever reason, this is broke, but still I have that IP unused. I can actually manage the address, recycle it back when I have an understanding that this is there. When you have a recording system like blockchain, the job becomes very easy. So these are the kind of use cases. I'm sure you will hear from my colleagues around what Bitcoin SV is doing. It's just a fork of the existing Bitcoin, so you will understand more about it. So that's working on the V6 era. So now these are something that you will need to work on. So one other thing is when you're building the use cases, you need to understand what exactly it's used for, how are you creating the value. So that's the vision that we bring in from Blockchain Productivity Forum. We ensure that you understand what will be a right fit, how can you tailor solutions. It can be a public or a private blockchain, and there are interoperability elements and bridges. We can always talk about it. So with due respect to on the time, feel free to connect. We can also talk about other things as well. So thank you, sir. That's from my side. I hope I've not bored a lot of people.
No. Thank you, Venu. You really brought very good ideas, technical thing, but in a simplified manner. And it was required, and you did a great job. So now I should request our other expert, Shri Shikher Verma, CTO of Dastafilez. So Shikher, you also have to do the same way. What you are doing, what problem you are solving, what challenges you are facing.
Sure. So let me first talk about Dastafilez. When companies acquire other companies or merge with other companies, or they buy a piece of property, there's a lot of legal compliance that has to be done. So all this is done by merger and acquisition teams, M&A teams of these organizations. And there are a lot of important documents that exchange hands. And these are obviously not done on WhatsApp or through Google Drive. We have a separate a class of product called data rooms, virtual data rooms that are used for this. And through the use of blockchain, we are actually decentralizing it. So this company called Dastafilez, it's with me as the technology head in India, and I have the technology team here. And the sales, marketing, and the company itself is registered in Switzerland. And my partners are former M&A heads of companies that are sort of taking this product to the other colleagues that they had in the past. And we have been quite successful in the adoption of this product, because it solves a very real problem where the team doing M&A cannot trust the IT company. So with this solution, we provide an end-to-end encrypted virtual data room that creates an auditable ledger on the blockchain itself. So it completely removes trust from us through the use of blockchain. And like some of the deals we have done in the past 1 year have been close to 30 million, like a property that costed 30 million exchanged hands in Spain. And all the due diligence was done on our product. And the name of the product, it's Dastafilez and Files. And I'm really grateful to my partners in Switzerland that they let me name it after a Hindi word. And the main challenge that we face is that as the rest of the speakers here have already pointed out, that as soon as you mention something related to blockchain, the first thing that the person thinks is it's something related to crypto, and crypto everyone sees as a scam. So that's the big thing that we are trying to solve in the last 1.5 years. And yeah, I think I'll keep my description to the point and short. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Shikher. And of course, before we open up for questions, and we are running late, but Dr. Shiv, and our DG, and he is a specialist in training, skill building, job creation. So, Dr. Shiv, can you also mention about your work or your company on the skilling side, competence creation side, and what is the opportunity and how it will help to create jobs or the skilled manpower? Do we have enough in India, or what is required to have enough expertise and skilled manpower in India for blockchain use cases?
Thank you, sir. See that most of our experts have said that blockchain is still in the that very beginning stage, and that hardly we have the developers. We can say it's a 0.001% of the total developers are having some knowledge of the blockchain. So in order to, since the that blockchain is being now talked about by everyone, and everybody is thinking that blockchain will maybe solving every problem, though it may not be the case, but yes, the blockchain will solve a lot of problems. Whether you talk about the governance, you talk about anywhere where the transparency is required, whether sharing of the data is required. So it is going to solve a lot of problems. Now, the challenge what that the people are facing in learning the blockchain is the blockchain is having a lot of elements. It's not just a simple technology like we take the name of one technology and we start learning. It has some mathematical proofs. It has some crypto. It has got basically some knowledge of, if you go for the implementation of the some project, then you may have, depending on the type of the project, you may need the artificial intelligence. You may need the, if you are related to some network, you may need the IPv6 knowledge, you may need the IoT knowledge. So that depends basically on the different type of projects. But now coming basics to the blockchain first. For the blockchain, number one, we need to have learned the concepts. What are the basic concepts of the blockchain? Once we learn the concept, then the smart contract is the one of the key basically which come. Then for the smart contract, if you suppose it's a sort of coding which is get automatically executed if the condition is met. So for that purpose also, we need to understand how the compiling is done, how the testing is done, then deploying is done, and then how it is integrated to the blockchain. And if we talk about Web3, Web3 is basically based on the token, or it's a machine intelligence is involved into it. So you need to understand how the tokenization is going to work and eventually integrating. So integration, interoperability is one of the key in order to implement the projects. But to begin with, let us not complicate it, but in order to begin with, number one is understand the concept of the blockchain, which is necessary. Then second, go to the smart contract. Then see that how smart contracts can be implemented or deployed into the system. And then we can go for the various like knowledge of the metaverse, NFT, and then a lot of, you know, that you will listen a lot of keywords or a lot of things like DAO or the, and then another thing is like decentralized applications, dApps. So you need to understand one by one, and as Vikas said, it took him 1 year in order to understand that what is a blockchain and how it is working. And now, after that, it has come the Web3, which is having even the convergence of the IPv6, then AI, and then blockchain. So it's a technology required, you know, it has been a couple of years I have been into it, but it requires a lot of basically time. I understand that like networking was there, then different type of technology there. It was like a very specific domain. But here, it's basically gamut of the domains. So it's certainly, you need to have a short-term plan, you need to have a long-term plan, and similarly, our NASCOM is basically doing a good job in the, you know, in this space into the future skills, and the government need to come up with the, you know, like short-term plan, long-term plan, how to basically develop the skill resources, the competency development has to be carried out. I think a lot of work need to be done into this area, sir. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Shiv. Actually, we are running late for the lunch, but we will give chance for 2 questions, some burning questions, of course, more learning after lunch, and one presentation which was to happen before lunch, the most important presentation. It will happen after lunch, so you should not leave after lunch, because you will meet our house on the great thing actually. But 2 questions for any of our panelists, any questions you want. So any of you can raise your hand and tell your name, and yeah, mic is there. Yeah, ये mic दीजिए उनको. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, hi sir. I'm Ankit Shrivastava. I'm senior manager at TrailTel. My question is for Mr. Shikher. I'm having a doubt, just because you have a product called Dastafilez. So you have used this platform, but you could have used container or something and encrypted that data, and you could have shared that with the the government, the same thing. Why have you used specifically this this new technology that we are, from my perspective or many of my colleagues, I don't know whether they are sure or not. So if someone talks that we have to share some data, whether with the government also, so we could have some cloud system, in-house cloud system where we could have shared that document,
Sure,
encrypted something on container or something.
So when you look at blockchain as a data storage solution, it provides two unique properties that are not there in other storage solutions. Like if you put something on AWS S3, it does not have the same two properties. And that would be immutability and decentralization in blockchain. So when you put something on the blockchain, it's stored by all the miners. So it's very difficult to change the stuff that's already on the blockchain, because for that you'll have to convince 51% of the miners to change the history of the blockchain, which is a Herculean task to do. And it's decentralized. So even if one of the miners go down, the data itself can be taken from any other miner. So because of these two properties, we can, these are the two properties that we have leveraged in our product. So when someone uploads like a very important document and he wants it uploaded on chain, we encrypt it and we put it on chain. And later on, let's say 10, 15 years from now, this product is not there and we are not there, he can still get the file from the blockchain because it's stored by one or the other miner. And he can be sure that it's not tampered with, because the blockchain as a technology gives you this guarantee that it would be immutable and it would be decentralized and distributed.
Okay, so immutability is
yeah, exactly. Immutability is one of the, decentralized would be the second property that we're using, but immutability is definitely the property that we are benefiting from.
So I have another doubt with this actually. So because this is decentralized and we are dealing with the government projects, so which is considered to be very critical.
Yeah.
So this ledger is with multiple millions of people, I think. Many owners are there. So is it safe still?
It's a difficult job convincing them that the encryption is good. So you'll have to, that argument there that the encryption is unbreakable for the next 200 years, that is something that's a very difficult fight. And we lose customers because of that. Because some people just want it kept in their private server and not on the public blockchain. But you'll find that a lot of people understand encryption now, especially the ones that are more technically inclined. They understand that the encryption will remain unbroken for, let's say, 100 years. And that's a good enough time. Even CIA files get declassified after 50 or 100 years. So your legal document is certainly more like, it can be public before them. So yeah, it's a difficult argument to have for sure.
Thank you.
Just to add to what Shikher said, okay, you can always have flavors of blockchain. So it's always not a broadcast type. So I'll probably step back. So there are two kinds of blockchains: permissionless and permission blockchains. So let's say for your scenario, you have a government involved and you have key players. What you start with doing is identifying the participants of people who want to be part of it. Now the key element that it offers is non-repudiation. What do you mean by that? So when somebody puts the data inside, it's always append-only data. So you don't really be in a situation where you can go change that information, and you also have inbuilt auditability. So when you go for, let's say, Railtel is now wanting to go blockchain, it can go for, say, Corda or a Hyperledger Favor. What happens is, you'll not really have this information of being thrown out to everybody in the world. You'll only be given information or access to those people who you wouldn't like to start. So in that scenario, what is blockchain for you? Blockchain becomes a data record, database where you record information in a linear fashion, where you have lineage of events. So that will help you not just looking at what happened, when it happened, and at the same time, you would basically create an infrastructure for major players to look at. So this security is already there. So you talked about encryption. Encryption is also a choice there. So now, because of zero knowledge or privacy, you can have a lot of add-ons on top. It all depends on what's the use case, how do you want to use. That's how it is. Hope I answered your question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venu. And one more question before we break for lunch. You will get opportunity after lunch also to ask questions during lunch as well. So if there is Any, if I don't see any, so shall we break for lunch by thanking our panelists, our experts actually, who have done a great job. And as I mentioned, just after lunch, and you have to be back in 45 minutes, we will have the most important presentation of today.
I'll
Just
take
after
1
lunch.
minute.
Yeah.
So, we have 3 talks, one by Sri Rohan Saran on the shared public ledger enable a production-centric data economy. Then another is a Web3 DLT in telecom, emerging opportunities, policy and economic guidelines by one of our expert from the USO funds of the DOT. Then we have data integrity through blockchain, Web3 innovations. That's by Sri Kapil Jain. After that, we have a Web3 security ecosystem, one of very important topic. And we have the expert from Data Security Council of India. Then we have, in the last, we have the business, how the business and societal transformation the Web3 will bring. Then I think this is also very important, how the opportunities for entrepreneurs, NFTs, DAO, smart contracts, it will come. Rohan Saran. Please, Rohan Saran. Let us clap for him. Big clap. Rohan Saran is the founder of the Time Chain Labs. He will tell why the name is a time chain or how he has come up. Is there different chain, or is a blockchain, or is a clock chain, or what is there? He will tell. And he is the brand ambassador of the Bitcoin Association. He is ambassador for India. So that's what I was saying. He looks too young. He looks like a IIT Kharagpur student still, but whatever he's doing a lot of great things. He's alum of IIT Kharagpur and recognized as one of the top 50 blockchain influencers in India. He will be giving his talk, and at IIT Kanpur I was with him, and the type of the point he was putting, the way he was deliberating, really I have become fan of him, Sir Rohan, and I am sure all the audience you will make fan of yours. So platform is yours. Thank you.